Okay, in this video we are coming to learn plant and animal cells. Plant and animal cells. So we have learned that matter is made of four tiny particles, which is atoms, molecules or ions. So these tiny particles form the basic unit of what? Matter. For living things, their basic functional unit is what? The cell. So a living cell is the smallest unit of what? A plant or an animal or a living organism. So a living cell can also be defined as what? The structural and functional unit of a living thing which carries out all the life processes to make the organism a living entity. So all living things are made up of what? Cells. Some living things consist of only one cell throughout their lives, while other living things consist of what? Many cells throughout their lives. Living things that consist of only one cell throughout their lives are called unicellular organisms. So typical example of unicellular organisms are amoeba, paramecium, and euglena. Okay, living things that consist of many different cells throughout their lives are called multicellular organisms. Examples of multicellular organisms are man, plants, and animals such as monkey, rabbits, and rats. So let's look at the structure of a typical living cell. Okay, a typical living cell has the following parts. So you must have, if you have a cell, you must have what? 1. Cell membrane. 2. Nucleus. 3. Mitochondria. 4. Chloroplast. 5. Cytoplasm. 6. Vacuole. 7. Cell wall. So now let's look at how this structured or how plant cell and animal cell is drawn. Okay, so let's look at plant cell. So the diagram that is on the board is a plant cell. So a plant cell consists of what? Chloroplast, cell membrane, cell wall, nucleus, cytoplasm, vacuole, and what? Mitochondria. So this is the structure of what? A plant cell. So now let's look at this, a well-labeled diagram of what? An animal cell too, and we will compare them, okay, and bring out the differences and then similarities between them. So this structure too is what? A typical example of what? An animal cell. So we have cell membrane, cytoplasm, vacuole, nucleus, and mitochondria. So the nucleus and cytoplasm are collectively known as protoplasm. Typically, the vacuole is mostly found in plants. In plant what? Cells. Okay. So now let's bring out the components or parts of what? A typical living cell and their functions. I'm talking about the functions of nucleus, cytoplasm, cell wall, cell membrane, vacuole, and the rest. So let's define them one after the other. Okay, so parts of a typical living cell and their functions. So let's take them one by one. We have nucleus, cytoplasm, cell membrane, cell wall, chloroplast, vacuole, mitochondria. So what is nucleus and then its function in the cell? The nucleus is a small spherical structure in the cytoplasm. It is surrounded by a nuclear membrane. The nuclear membrane controls the movements of substances in and out of the nucleus. So the functions of the nucleus: 1. It controls the life activities of the cell. And then number 2, it controls cell production. It controls cell production. Number 3, it contains hereditary units known as what? Genes. Okay, so let's go to the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm contains all the living materials or structures in a cell. It occupies a large portion of the space within a cell. It consists of a complicated mixture of the jelly-like portion of the cell, the nucleus, and all other special structures of the cell floats in the cytoplasm. So functions of cytoplasm: salt or sugars, which could be food, are present in the cytoplasm. They are present. So salt and sugar can be found in what? Cytoplasm. It expels or gets rid of water materials through the cell membrane. Number 3, it is in the cytoplasm that chemical reaction takes place. So any chemical reaction that takes place in a cell, it takes place in cytoplasm. So let's go to the cell membrane. The cell membrane is a structure that surrounds both plant and animal cells. It is mostly made up of proteins and lipids, which is fat and oil. So functions of the cell membrane. It protects the internal structures of the cell by separating the cell from its surrounding. 2. It supports the cell and gives it shape. 3. It controls the movement of dissolved substances in and out of the cell. So it is said to be semi-permeable. All substances that the cell needs, such as water and other nutrients, enter through the cell membrane. So waste products of the cell come out through the cell membrane. So the cell membrane prevents harmful substances from entering the cell and keeps useful substances inside the cell. So let's go to cell wall. The cell wall is found in plant cells and is made up of cellulose. It encloses the cell membrane in plant cells. So the function of the cell wall: 1. It helps to keep the shape of the cell, and 2. It gives strength and supports to the plant cell. Okay, so chloroplast. Chloroplast contains the green pigment called chlorophyll. They are found only in a plant cell. The function of chloroplast. The chloroplast contains the chlorophyll, which is the green pigment which absorbs or traps the sunlight needed for photosynthesis to occur. So the vacuole. The vacuole is a fluid-filled sac within the cell. The fluid is a watery solution which consists of dissolved food substances such as sugar and salt and other chemical substances. Vacuoles are not common in animal cells. Functions of the vacuole. The fluid in the vacuole creates pressure on the cell wall, and this helps to keep the plant rigid. 2. It stores food substances such as sugars and salts for the cell. So last but not the least, mitochondria. So mitochondria are organelles. So we say mitochondria when it's 1, and we say mitochondria when it's 2. Mitochondria are organelles in the cytoplasm. Mitochondria are membranous structures with their inner parts being folded inward to form layers. So function of mitochondria. The main function of the mitochondria is to produce energy. So differences between plant and animal cells. So plant cell, animal cell on right. So has cellulose cell wall, has no cellulose cell wall, has large and permanent vacuole, has small and temporary vacuole. Okay, and then has a fixed and rigid shape, has no fixed or rigid shape. It stores food in the form of starch. It stores food in the form of glycogen. So now let's bring out the differences between the similarities between plant cell and an animal cell. So okay, the similarities: both have nucleus. It means that plant cell, we saw that plant cell has a nucleus, and then an animal cell too has a nucleus. Both have let me clean one of the halves. So okay, both have cytoplasm, and both have what? Cell membrane. Okay, so if this brings us to the close of the lesson.